How's everyone doing today? It's your boy JJ Domination, and today I'm here to report on something that actually didn't happen that long ago, but I totally forgot to talk about it because of, well, the divisional weekend and stuff. Divisional round matchups in the NFL. But yeah, the Cleveland Browns, they made their head coaching decision. I think they made it on Saturday, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, the Cleveland Browns are going to be hiring former Vikings offensive coordinator, whose name is escaping me, Kevin Stefanski, to be their new head coach. So there were a few candidates that were involved, quite a few candidates involved, including like offensive coordinator Greg Roman for the Baltimore Ravens, Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator for the 49ers, Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator for the Patriots, Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. So basically insert top coordinator here, and yeah, that's who they interviewed pretty much. So Kevin Stefanski is going to be getting the job, and I guess a little piece of information to note about Kevin Stefanski. Of course, he's now the former Vikings offensive coordinator. He's kind of an understudy guy to Gary Kubiak, who was an understudy to the Shanahan family for the whole zone run scheme. So Stefanski, it's fair to say, he's probably not like the guy behind that offense in Minnesota, but he's definitely a student of the game. It's similar to, I guess, basically when you hire like a Sean McVay guy, pretty much like that's what you're essentially doing here by hiring a Shanahan guy. So how do I feel about the hire for Cleveland? Well, I don't really know how to feel about it. I basically assume that they're going to run the football even more now, and the play action game for Baker Mayfield ought to be pretty good. I mean, I don't really have much to say other than that. As a team, I don't really know how much more they're gonna improve. It's just hard to say right now because Cleveland last year, a lot of people gave them a ton of hype, and they went 6-10. I wasn't one of those people that was really completely sold on, oh yeah, great roster, unproven coach equals, Super Bowl hype. Like, that's not necessarily the case. And Baker Mayfield was entering year 2, and we've seen guys have sophomore slumps before. Yes, I'm still on the Baker Mayfield had a sophomore slump narrative. Until next year, we'll really see true evidence of whether or not that's the case. But he's going to be having his third head coach in 3 years as Baker Mayfield, and it's just very wild and interesting. But it's Cleveland, it's been a mess for decades and decades and decades. I mean, they've been the laughing stock of the league for, quite a few decades now. This is nothing new. And Cleveland is making a hire, that it's unproven, but I mean, who knows? Maybe it does work. You also have to consider Kevin Stefanski was a favorite to get the job last year, and as a matter of fact, he finished second in the campaign for this job. The eventual coach ended up being Freddie Kitchens. He has a 6-10 season. They fired his ass, and yeah, Kevin Stefanski now comes into the fold. So basically, we know his background, of course, is the Gary Kubiak, Shanahan family zone run scheme. He was a huge help with the Vikings offense this year, and Dalvin Cook was awesome in the scheme, and I expect Nick Chubb to have a big year. So for people who play fantasy, obviously Nick Chubb's a stud. Obviously he is a top tier back, especially in fantasy, to have early second round pick, at the latest, I would say, or even a late sixth round pick or late second round pick at the latest. I don't know why I said sixth. I was thinking running back 6 potentially in fantasy. He's definitely a guy you want to have next year. I think he's going to have just another insane season, and even in this offense, which is going to be more predicated and friendly towards running backs. Now, as for Baker, I'm hoping Kevin Stefanski in this zone run scheme offense will make things easier for him. Baker still has a lot of tendencies that he has to figure out how to get over and stop doing and showing defenses. It's something Lamar Jackson's had to do, and he still has a couple of bad tendencies here or there. It's the same thing with Josh Allen as well. it's just something you probably won't get over, but there are a lot of things in Baker Mayfield's game that he can certainly clean up, so maybe this hire will definitely help him do so. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I think if you're Cleveland at this point, you have to be optimistic about something. You have Baker Mayfield, who, yeah, he had a bad sophomore year, but he also showed in his rookie year that he can play, and there's no question about it. And you look at the success you guys have had in the run game, you look at the fact you have a star receiver in Odell, and a pretty nice receiver in Jarvis Landry, who in my opinion gets a little overhyped at times. Like, he's a pretty good receiver, but let's not act like he's an all-pro, you know what I mean? Like, come on. I don't know. I hope it works out for Cleveland. I really do. I like Baker Mayfield. I like a lot of the players they have on the team, so I want it to work. I've been wanting Cleveland to be good for a couple of years, several years actually, but it's just last year, I don't know, it was way too much noise. It was irrational decision after irrational decision, and I don't know, it was pretty easy to see that this team wasn't going to achieve what many had hoped and thought they could. It was just pretty easy to assume that and pick them to be a disappointing team. Definitely after the Super Bowl, though, we are going to be doing more lists, of course, about like disappointing teams. We're going to be grading, rookies and all that. We're going to be grading the playoff teams. Like, it's going to be fun. This is going to be fun. A fun off season. We'll probably cover some draft stuff. I'm gonna be real, I haven't watched as much college football as I did last year, so my opinions on players aren't gonna be as smooth as they used to be. If you know me personally, I have a pretty good record when it comes to projecting NFL talent, so not trying to I am humble bragging. I'm not trying to brag completely, but for Cleveland's sake, hopefully this works, the Kevin Stefanski hire. But let me know down in the comment section below, how do you feel about the hire? Do you think it was the right move? Should they have gone after a different coordinator? Personally, I would have liked to have seen Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator, get that head coaching spot. I know it sparked a lot of conversation about why aren't more minority coaches in the league. Basically, why do we only have white coaches? That's basically the conversation that's being sparked because of Bieniemy once again not getting a job. I mean, if you look at the head coaches who are black, it's Mike Tomlin, Anthony Lynn. I guess you can consider Ron Rivera. Here, let me quickly think about who else. There's got to be another name I'm just forgetting for some reason. A lot of black coordinators, but not head coaches. There's got to be a name I'm forgetting. And I'm not going to stop this recording until I think of the damn name, because it's going to stress me out. Yeah, Mike Tomlin, Anthony Lynn, Ron Rivera. Is there any in the... I guess not. That might be it, actually. No, Brian Flores. I know there was another one. Brian Flores for the Dolphins. So you have Flores, Mike Tomlin, Anthony Lynn, and Ron Rivera. Those are the only minority coaches in the league. And a lot of people, with the hire of Stefanski, it's kind of sparked that conversation, like, why didn't Bieniemy get the job? And truth be told, Bieniemy has... he's done a great job in Kansas City with the play calling. I know Andy Reid gets a lot of the credit. He's kind of the mastermind behind a lot of these plays, but when it comes to scripting plays and just straight up play calling, that's Eric Bieniemy all day. And you got to think Doug Peterson and Matt Nagy and a lot of these other assistant coaches for Andy Reid have gotten jobs before. John Gruden even. Jay Gruden. I mean, everybody that works for Andy Reid eventually gets a job, so maybe Bieniemy is a candidate next year. Who knows? If Dan Quinn and the Falcons stink it up again, who knows? Maybe they pull the trigger and hire Eric Bieniemy, which I think would be awesome for that city and for them. But like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and let me know down in the comment section below, how do you feel about the Kevin Stefanski hire? Until next time, you already know, peace out.